Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Our presentation today is entitled The Mystical Virtue of Patience. Now, the greatest attainment and healing in our lives comes about through the patient application of the laws of life, or the Rosicrucian laws and principles. Patience allows us to let ourselves and others learn in our own way, in our own time. As we increasingly hearken to and identify with the divine within, we have the perspective not of the seeming pressures of the day, but the maturing viewpoint of eternity. When we can keep that big picture in mind, there is healing and a mature perspective, and great enrichment, love, and joy for ourselves and for all others. This time, I'd like to share with you an image pertaining to patience that I think you'll enjoy and will help lead us into our meditation. You'll see before you now a plate that shows a figure of patience, or patientia in Latin, seated, eyes gazed upward, laurel wreath, hand on a book. We have life and its lessons. It's a very beautiful, careful work, engraving on paper by Jan Sendrum after Henrique Goltius's work. You'll see the book in the lower left has the HG initials there. There's also a Latin inscription that refers to the constant patience and praise. It's both exciting and worthy. Taking the image, the gaze upward in a way draws us more deeply within ourselves, into the cosmic, as we're about to do in our meditation. So keeping in mind the big picture that is associated with patience. We'll elaborate on this theme during our meditation period, as well as during the main body of the presentation. This time, after viewing the inspiring image of patience before us, her beautiful and noble nature, surrounded by sacred architecture and a sacred way of life, let's close our eyes, take some gentle breaths. If you're lying down, that's fine. If you need to lean back, that's fine. If you need to stand, that's fine. If you're seated in a chair, have your spine upright, whatever your position. If you can breathe in an unencumbered way, that's particularly important. If you're seated, you can have your feet flat on the floor, temple of the body, the holy temple connected with the temple of the earth. Feet maybe about 8 inches apart, right angles at the knees. I suggest you have your hands faced on your laps, palms down. And just enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. You may wish to sense with the inhalation the incoming of the vital life force, known in other traditions as the prana or the chi. The incoming of the breath, you may have sensed the increasing presence of the inner self, the master within, the divine within, our true nature and guide throughout life. And with the exhalation, which you may wish to prolong a little longer than the inhalation, you'll feel this vagus nerve being stimulated. That happens every time, whether we consciously intend it or not. And that vagus nerve, when it's stimulated, causes the relaxation response. And relaxation is central and necessary to heal, to make whole. And no matter how good we're feeling, there's more making whole that can be done. But if there's something you feel suffering from now, just let the gentle inhalations and exhalations help with the healing effect. As we become calm, feel more imperturbability, serenity, tranquility. That helps charge the inner healing forces of nature within us. What may have seemed impossible become possible. And soon we'll direct these forces to others, stimulate them within them for their own healing. This is all part of the great work. Being a mature human being, being a mystic, and growing up more and more to the rose quartz state spoken of by the Rosicrucians. You see, in mysticism, it's fundamentally about fully growing up, the full maturation of a human being. So we can use all our faculties, all our abilities as needed, like a great pianist of the Rosicrucians call the cosmic keyboard. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath in harmony with various octaves of the cosmic keyboard, the great sea of vibrations. Feel a degree of exhilaration as you can feel the vital life force, particularly its positive polarity, the cosmic essence being increasingly charged in your body. You may feel it first in the extremities of your body, such as your fingers and your toes, but then it'll start to flow throughout your holy temple and being. We increasingly realize what the traditional Rosicrucian master Jacob Boehme meant by saying the human being is a being of light. And as that life force becomes more and more charged in its healing effect in us, you'll feel a sense that the body becomes increasingly spiritualized and it'll feel lighter. And this will assist us by applying the law of purification so we can rise up to the heights of the celestial sanctum shortly. If you're surprised by the healing effect, just let it unfold. As long as you're proceeding in good conscience, you can do more of the analysis, yet with the subjective mind's inductive and deductive reasoning after the meditation session. Just let things unfold. Sometimes it'll be things that no one's ever told us about, yet it's our birthright, and there'll be a deep familiarity with it. Because we're feeling the increased presence of the master within, who's the most familiar of anything to us. More familiar than our bodies, our friends and family. Indeed, we appreciate all those things to the degree that we appreciate the guidance of the master within. This breathing exercise seems very simple, and yet there's a great profundity. Many things are going on with it. Just have patience with it. To increasingly allow it to reveal its true nature to us. Throughout life, we need patience. Then we become more sensitive. Then we align our thinking, feeling, and our acting and our speaking. Let us continue with this purification, with a prayer and invocation to assist us to ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum, as described in detail in the Rosicrucian booklet, Liber 777. I'll give you a reference for it later on when Karen posts resources in the chat. I invite you to say together with me, may the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now, friars and sorors and participants, let us use all our inner psychic faculties and imagination to picture ourselves rising up from where we're seated or situated, up over our room, a home or dwelling or building where we're at. Exit right out from it and look down on our work of architecture and see around it the surrounding property and neighborhood, and enjoy the exhilaration of the ascent. Rising up faster and faster, taking in our entire city or town or county as applicable. Keep rising up, seeing down below the various landforms below of your province or state, whether they be desert or farmlands or lakefront or seashore or mountains or hills, whatever is applicable to your area. Enjoy the beauty of it all, the work, the great artisan, grand architect of the universe, and continue to rise up faster and faster, transcending space and time now, to take in your entire great nation or country. See the great weather systems, landforms, the browns, the greens, blues of the water, the beauty of it all. As we continue to rise, taking up now in the continent where you dwell, and now the hemisphere, north or south is applicable to where you're situated on the earth plane. As you rise up faster and faster, let's take in now the entirety of the oblate spheroid or sphere of the earth, the beautiful blue jewel, revolving or rotating about its axis, the north and south poles formed thereof. And see the moon revolving about our planet. And look up and see the great elliptical orbits of the planets. Saturn, the huge planet of Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, and Mars, and feel their psychic vibrations coming to you, enriching, radiating them back from our divine nature to them in gratitude. Let us continue up higher and higher beyond our local star, the fiery ball of the sun, and take in myriad other stellar phenomena, the quasars, the pulsars, the nebulae. Sense the presence of the black holes helping balance the universe. Keep rising up higher and higher past myriad stars, way beyond the speed of light. Allow the divine within increasingly to take over in the journey. It knows the way. It is the way. Now sense the great presence of our home, the Milky Way galaxy, and its great spiraling arms as we exit out from our local arm and look back at the beauty and wonder and awe of the Milky Way galaxy, the great application of number and geometry, the great handiwork of the Creator, which all creators on earth seek to imitate knowingly and unknowingly, through the inspiration of the divine within, inspiration of the muses spoken since ancient times. And let us look up from the Milky Way galaxy and see other galaxies and stars as we continue upward, continue our great journey to the center of the cosmos. Since not only galaxies and spiral formations, but others, and even what modern astronomers and astrophysicists call clusters of galaxies, many, many galaxies together. It has passed through our local cluster of galaxies and sense not only individual galaxies and the great collections of clusters of galaxies, but what's called superclusters of galaxies, revolving about a great axis. Clusters revolving within them, the galaxies revolving about the great axis of our local supercluster, but then pass right out from the supercluster faster and faster enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent, a full range of vibrations on the cosmic keyboard, both psychically and physically. Continue past the myriad stars, the asteroids, the great webs of interstellar gases connecting the galaxies. Myriad galaxies, superclusters of galaxies, and now even the myriad or many superclusters of galaxies. The stupendous law and order and system and harmony and sacred majesty of this great temple of the cosmos. Start to sense now too how the entire cosmos is revolving about a great axis. Just like our work revolves about the spine, the holy temple, on the spaceship of the earth revolving about its axis, or rotating, and the moon revolving about the earth, and the earth around the sun, the great motions of the Milky Way galaxy, the great motions of clusters of galaxies. The great motions of the superclusters of galaxies about their axis. Now the entire cosmos is mirroring those spinning actions on its great cosmic axis as we continue to rise higher and higher, taking in the entirety of the cosmos, including the place of its great cosmic axis spoken of since ancient times by mystics and philosophers. When you sense the presence of the cosmic axis, zoom in towards its midpoint, which is the midpoint of the universe, the center point of the universe. And when you reach towards it, you're ready, slow up and dwell for a time, the center of the cosmos, the heights of the celestial sanctum. And by the law of correspondence, this great center point mirrors the center of our being, the dwelling place of the divine within, connected with all. The Rosicrucians have a beautiful word, fitting to speak of at this time, is simply the cosmic. It refers to the universal intelligence back of the cosmos and all the natural and spiritual laws at work throughout the cosmos in our microcosmic being and body. Well, you take in the great range of vibrations of the cosmic keyboard. I invite you now to visualize your personal celestial sanctum, maybe an inspiring place in nature like the great scene all around you, or an inspiring meadow, or seashore, or lakeshore, the vibrations of the waves, suggesting our attunement with the vibrations of the cosmic, or a high vantage point on a hill or a mountain you remember back on Earth, that great panorama giving us a more expansive view of our life in the cosmic perspective. Or maybe it's a built sacred work of architecture, a gurdwara, a stupa, a mandir, cathedral or church or a synagogue, or the grand temple of the Rosicrucian order in San Jose, California at Rosicrucian Park. Fill in the sights and sounds and all the impressions, both outwardly through the physical senses, but inwardly through the psychic senses, to make alive and vital and thrilling sacred presence of your celestial sanctum at this time. Visualize it well and feel the exhilaration of doing so, just like we felt the exhilaration to rise to the heights of the celestial sanctum. You may wish to picture others on this conference call with us and all seekers and visible and invisible masters, the grand masters of the Rosicrucian order, Namork, and the imperator of the order may be conducting sacred convocation or ritual at this time. You wish to be seated at your celestial sanctum as you fill in all the symbology there, possibly stained glass windows depicting Rosicrucian laws and principles. Make it a wondrous, uplifting place that continues to draw the divine within. When you've filled in your personal celestial sanctum, release it, let go, and surrender to the increasing presence, the divine within, the most profound form of peace that Rosicrucians call peace profound. Let us dwell for a time now, applying the law of silence. Let us dwell in patience. Allowing the master wind to speak with us, or uplift us, or heal it, or whatever is necessary for us at this time. Feel the richness of this silence. Feel all there is to feel. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breath. No self-negativity. It's all part of the process, strengthening our attentional control. Continue to dwell at the heights of the celestial sanctum, the center of our being, in silence. Now, friars and sorors and participants, feeling enriched, ennobled, a deep sense of unity, let us conduct further operations of spiritual nature, the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. This time, I invite you to join members of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc to radiate love and well-being to all those in need. First, let's radiate love and well-being to all those who petitioned the Grand Lodge for healing and guidance. Just let the love and well-being radiate out from you, from mind and heart, like a great floodlight going out to all in need, or like a great flow of water flooding forth, reaching out to all who have petitioned the Grand Lodge. You may wish to as petition your affiliate bodies of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, or metaphysical aid list, seeking healing and guidance. Radiate love and well-being to them now too, as well as to all you know who are in need of healing and guidance. And indeed, as we move from the finite plane to the infinite plane, all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of love and guidance at this time, radiate out to them all. Let the divine within do it with great ease. At first, you may wish to use great conscious force, but then slowly let it phase over to the divine within's capacity. It knows how to do this with great ease and strength. And enjoy the enrichment and healing and exhilaration of this healing practice of metaphysical aid. At a certain point, I think you'll find you'll no longer make any conscious effort for the flow of love and well-being to continue. Just let it happen. Soon you may find it speeding up even faster, knowing you're reaching those in need. And when that happens, just let the flow continue and continue to dwell in peace profound. The heights of the celestial sanctum. Applying both the law of cosmic attunement and the law of service. As you radiate the love and well-being, picture your mind expanding out with those rays throughout the cosmos. Allowing your mind to experience as the cosmic mind experiences. You can identify with the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, the cosmic. Be the cosmic mind. Experience as the cosmic mind experiences. Assume the cosmic mind now as we radiate the love and well-being. Just surrender and let these processes happen. Just let go, to let flow, and to let be. Soon, Fridays and Soros participants will formally conclude our period of the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, but we'll continue our meditation a while longer. We'll be assured that the flow of love and well-being will continue from us as part of our mission in life. Formally conclude this period of metaphysical aid and say together, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. Now let us continue a while longer, one with the one, absorbed in the cosmic mind. Now soon we'll formally conclude this period of meditation. May I wish to invoke the law of gratitude for this opportunity to be of service, this period of cosmic attunement, which is our birthright. Increased opportunity to experience who we truly are, the divine within, the master within, the inner self. Great link from the finite plane to the infinite plane, the divine. We wish to express gratitude to all those who have taught us well, to all who have loved us well, to all who sacrificed on our behalf for our well-being. Now, friars and sorors participants, let us begin our great descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, taking with us this cosmic attunement, speeding at tremendous rate past the superclusters of galaxies, the stupendous harmony and order and sacred majesty of it all, sensing the great harmony of the spheres, the beautiful music of the cosmos, the great handiwork of the Creator. And see in the distance our local supercluster of galaxies and plunge into it. See all the myriad stars and galaxies and great interstellar webs between the galaxies. And the supercluster revolving about its axis. And see all the local clusters of galaxies. And in the distance, our local cluster of galaxies, and plunge into it. And zoom past the myriads of galaxies and stellar phenomena, pulsars and the quasars, supernova. Since the presence of the black holes balancing the universe. And in the distance, beauty of the Milky Way galaxy, its great spiraling arms. Let us enter back into the arm where we dwell, past the myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the asteroids and the rogue planets, and the comets, the beauty and wonder of it all. In the distance, our local star, the fiery ball of the sun, beautiful elliptical orbits. See the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, the temple of the earth where we left off. And come to the hemisphere where we dwell, now the continent, now our great nation or country, our province, our state, and our city. I invite you to say with me before we conclude. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum, so mote it be. Let us continue our descent to our neighborhood, local geographic area, dwelling or home or building where we left off, and then our room, feeling presence or bed or our seat or where we're situated. You may wish to stretch and open your eyes, feeling rejuvenated, remade, reintegrated. Great sense of well-being, all the more ready to take up our duties this day and mission in life. When you've opened your eyes, thank you again for undertaking this great ascent that is our birthright into the heart of mysticism. Now we'll continue our presentation on patience. Often we hear about various virtues. Often described in various ways, but often sevenfold in their number, to do with the great sevenfold cadence, the holy temple, the microcosm, and the macrocosm of the universe. This is we associate 7 with the cosmic keyboard and its octaves. I mentioned earlier, it's good to keep the big picture in mind, and that's part of the value of meditation, because it allows us to do that. That experience of meditation just now floods into our life. and how we express that well-being to our body and to all those we contact. And we have a clearer, more mature perspective on things. Indeed, meditation takes practice because it's good to do daily. So just even you can do at least an hour a day, it can have the wondrous effects. It requires patience though, because we have to be patient with ourselves. We have an inward perfection, but gradually that's drawn out as we polish what Rosicrucian referred to as the soul personality. That's our mirror within ourselves of the one soul. That's that great maturing process that takes place. When we're patient with ourselves, it allows us to think more clearly, to feel more clearly. Often it's thought it's good to do things quickly, but generally we do things hastily. Can't do things as accurately when we think slowly. And in fact, we'll save time in the long run. You know, our subjective mind handles only one matter at a time. When we do that, take time, handle one matter at a time, a bit like a sand dropping through the passage in an hourglass, not trying to jam things through, because then the hourglass won't work. Then we can align well what we're thinking, saying, and doing. We all know times when we've had to try to do something quickly, and we used words we hadn't intended, or we make an action we hadn't intended, even though we know it quite well to do otherwise. Our weekly monograph lessons are much like this as well. Week by week, we may feel that, oh, can't we do this more quickly? Or I've studied a lot of these things as well. It's true, our intellect can learn things quickly, but to have them be able to master them in practice, that takes time and patience. But one of the beautiful things about the attunement with the cosmic is that we get a whole new perspective of time. In fact, we realize it's a necessary illusion for our learning, and then we take on more perspective of lifetimes, indeed eternity. It's beautiful with the child culture lessons for children that the Rosicrucian Order promotes. It speaks of its education system as an education for eternity and immortality. I want to show you a little bit more about this importance of patience. You know, when we're patient with our monographs, we'll soon find that when we come back to them, there was a tremendous amount in them that we didn't get the first time. And part of that reason is that we've grown and matured. I remember Robert E. Daniels, when he was Grand Master, mentioning that our lives are like standing at a great seashore, and that great body of waters gradually increasing, becoming larger, moving up the beach. But any one time we don't sense that. But over a larger period of times, we've seen how we moved. Sometimes it's easier for others to notice that difference in us because we've matured and grown in that gradual pace together. But if we can look back in our mind, or if we have a notebook that we're encouraged to have in the Rosicrucian Order to make our observations and our experiences and look back in it, we'll see how much that great body of water has moved and increased. And that can be an inspiring realization. We learned too that in those early degrees of the Rosicrucians, early studies, in a way that the entirety is encapsulated there. The rest is more a variation on a theme. I felt that very strongly throughout my life in regard to the Rosicrucian teachings. In a way, it's like a spiral that we keep returning back to, rising up higher and higher. We need to have the patience to make that great return, but there is a great change and evolvement going on. In the work that you see before you, it's actually entitled Patience. In a way, there's a play on words. Here, this work by Francis Dodd, who lived from 1874 to 1949, is depicting two persons who are playing a game of patience, a general category of patience games to do with, sometimes also referred to as solitaire. And we see possibly a daughter with an elderly parent, or at least an elder who's seated, who's very lovingly impatient with that person. We find in our own lives, with we're dealing with our parents, in life often, we have to be very patient, just like they were patient with us. As they've given, we now need to give back to them. just even a fraction often what they gave to us, and we appreciate all the more the sacrifice of being a parent and a sacred duty. But when we meditate, we're more and more able to be patient through thick and thin, day after day, not just for the person on one occasion, but on many occasions. We find this too, that as we grow up, it's true that persons that maybe were our elders, as there are certain declines in them, you see, there's the opportunity for the psychic nature to come forward much more strongly in our later years and our incarnations. And there's a great strengthening that takes place in that. As we tune greater with the cosmic, there's a youthfulness that can be maintained. But nevertheless, it may be that the one who was the daughter or the son must now take on more like a parent-like role for their elder to assist them in the later stages of their life. But it's to be done without imposition as much as possible and with patience. And that patience will purify us. On a similar vein, I wanted to show you a work I've shown you before. It's entitled The Banjo Lesson. It's by Henry Ossawa Tanner, who lived from 1859 to 1937. It's a work entitled, I should say it's oil and canvas, dates from 1893. It's at the Hampton University Museum. And we can see the loving patience here of the elder for the younger child. The elder's holding in their upper left hand, top of the banjo. The child is strumming. You see the various effects of the law of duality with the different lighting effects that may give us even more stronger presence of these two soul personalities before us. But this is what it's like the parent or the grandparent or the elder needing to be patient, not imposing, allowing the person to learn in their own way under gentle guidance. This reminds me of H. Spencer Lewis, who's a past imperator and chief executive officer of the Rosicrucian order. In an early forum, which I'll give you a reference to, he spoke about a frater, a Rosicrucian from Germany, who would later come to the United States and take up a position at the Princeton Institute for Advanced Studies in New Jersey. His name was Albert Einstein. Frater Albert, early in his life, was impatient when he was in a patent office because he felt like he had great things to do. And indeed, the special relativity and general relativity were coming to him through the cosmic mind. But he had to be patient for the time to be right. He had to build up his strengths more. He had to master more advanced calculus, such as the tensor analysis, so he could do the non-Euclidean geometries for the new space-time continuum. But with his patient attitude, all those things came into fruition and more. It reminds me too of another mystical student. His name was Florence. When she was a child, she had a great mystical vision that she would be called to do great things. And she was attracted to nursing from a young age. But she thought that the things she was doing and learning nursing, that she was meant for much more. But the truth was she had to prepare herself and be patient, because at the time when she was called to go to the Crimea, for the Crimean War, there was many young persons experiencing the great initiation. She had to be strong to be able to sustain the sight of persons passing through transition, particularly persons in the young persons. If she had gone earlier, she would have fled back, because like some of the nurses that went her, they couldn't stand it, they couldn't take it. It was too much, overwhelming for the outer self. But when the inner self has been developed to communicate with the outer self, it's not overwhelmed. The inner self is never overwhelmed. It knows no disease. When we work more with the inner self, the outer self comes to know these things and can do much greater things, just like Florence Nightingale could do when she was in the Crimea and for the rest of her life. The young soldiers, when they were to having surgery, she helped promote them to have cleanliness so there wouldn't be diseases caused through infections. But they also liked to hold her hand and have her steady presence because they could sense the cosmic within her was attuning them with the cosmic. Just like we radiate love and well-being for all those in need. These are part of the value of being patient in our own life for the right time to come, for things to happen and unfold. I know sometimes too, when we first may regret that we didn't come into the order in earlier phases of our incarnation. But by the same token, anytime we feel the urge is the right time for us, the order will wait for us and be there for us in the next incarnation to take up much earlier again. Now, there's another work I wanted to show you of an inspiring nature that you saw last week, in fact, on here. It's by Asher B. Durand, who was a wonderful teacher of art during the 19th century. This work is from 1850, oil on canvas. It's entitled Early Morning at Cold Spring. I know some of you know Cold Spring, New York, and it's at the Montclair Art Museum in New Jersey. You'll find here a work of patience. Just as the artist had to be very patient to fill in all these details, you notice the details of the stones in the foregrounds, the geological formations that he would study to learn to be able to know how to depict properly and know how to learn to depict the waves that are coming in the foreground as well, and to shape them just right so they're realistic, but also they're charged with a deep realism that we come into when we're attuned with the cosmic, because we can see things more clearly. We know Asher B. Durand had its degree of the cosmic sense because he spoke of the temple of the earth and the temple of the universe. It was his great place for worship, suggested too by the spire in the mid-ground and the beautiful, tranquil, reflective bay, the Cold Spring. You notice how he's done the trees and the leaves. You see some of them are imbued with light, just as the sky here, as you look towards it, the light will build and build and build, just like in our meditation, when we're still and quiet, like the figure communing with nature. As we commune with ourselves, that light back here will build and build and will increase sense of the cosmic attunement that Asher B. Durand had, that he draws us to, like two tuning forks, one vibrating, the other will start to vibrate, but it's the same frequency. Now, it's very important in this act of patience, whether it be experiencing nature or experiencing the nature within ourselves, we're all part of a unity. Sometimes we're called on to give advice to people. And that's a time to take care and to be patient, what is said and how it's said. Try to be encouraging. Be patient to see what the inner self wells up for us. Because the reason we do meditation is for times like that we can draw forth the master within, help us to help others. You know, the most important thing we can do for another person is to help attune them with the cosmic, help them develop self-reliance. That is the reliance on the inner self. And not jumping in and do things for others unless we need to, or an emergency, or it's part of our role. And not even necessarily point out things when they're in error. Often our example, our gentle guidance, they'll get the idea and they'll come to that realization on their own. And then they'll have the lesson all the more strongly. And then they'll get it even more strongly when they practice it and showing that idea or that law or principle in service to others. And that way the others will come to what is harmonious and healthy for them. We have to accept too that others may not have certain strengths that we have, and we need to be patient there. And same thing, vice versa. We have to realize that others have strengths that we don't, and hopefully they'll be patient with us, but we can patiently observe their strengths so we can gain it and absorb it and learn it. And the master within will help us do that. To help draw up and sum up these things that we've been talking about here, I want to show you another important image that I sometimes show to you. that we get in a more elaborate form in our weekly Rosicrucian lessons. That is the Rosicrucian schematic diagram of mental processes. Here's from an earlier Amorg slide and tape show, is shown in a similar form. But this map here, in a way, is fundamental to everything we experience. When we're having challenges or conundrums in our life, I invite you to come back to the Rosicrucian schematic diagram of mind and come back to the law of triangle and see where the two polarities, the two poles are not mixing perfectly for the masterly manifestation. You know, throughout this period that we've been together, approximately the past 50 minutes, we've worked back and forth with this. We've worked with the cosmic throughout, but you've heard my voice from the external world. But in meditation, we move deeper and deeper from the objective consciousness with sights and sounds and the memories, the cosmos, into the subjective consciousness, memories that we've had of our celestial sanctum, using our reasoning. We move deeper and deeper into the subconscious mind, where the place is symbols and our dreams. And ultimately in meditation, we're very still. We moved right into here, to the heart of the cosmic, which actually infuses, which I like this diagram shows, it's overarching, it infuses all these other forms of consciousness or mind. When we listen to another person patiently, we help draw them from the objective into the subjective, into the subconscious. It's true they're speaking to us, so we'll tend to move back and forth here to the objective consciousness in hearing and sensing. But our psychic senses will also move into the subconscious area in the cosmic, and they'll be doing the same thing. In contemplation, a spiritual art and exercise we learn as Rosicrucians, we actually move deeper and deeper into here, moving partway from the subconscious into the cosmic. If we're very patient in that process, the master within will come forward to us through its symbols and ways of conveying it to us. That's why contemplation is such an enriching activity, and will generally be even more directly enriching than our contacts in our conversations, because we'll have the opportunity not to be continually moved out to the objective mind and subjective mind as we're in conversation. The beauty of meditation is at a certain point, we let go, just like when we reach the heights of the celestial sanctum, to merge into the cosmic. But dealing with each of these phases of mind, which are all part of the cosmic mind, require patience to learn how to master them, to learn how they each works and apply them when we're in contacts with others to help enrich them and move them more and more deeply in these ways, in a way that's right for them. We have a beautiful concept of conscience in the Rosicrucian order, and that is that it is the inner self speaking its divine direction to us. It requires a receptivity and a patience to be still and not to give up easily, and then it'll come forward more and more as we become more and more patient, more and more aware of it. The inner self wants us to be very serious in directing itself to us, but also happy and joyous. That we are truly working towards self-mastery, then the divine within will come forward to us again and again in a very highly meaningful way of life. Pictured here towards us. This is the map, but it's not the territory. The territory is you have to go in and do it. Just like learning to do mathematics, you have to practice a lot. Just like in art, you have to practice a lot. Just like in any crafts and woodworking and so forth, you have to practice a lot. We've got diagrams in the lessons, but we've got to make a map, the territory, and make it real, make it vital, make it our way of life. So in conclusion, I'll say that we've continued to explore Rosicrucian laws and principles and their application for self-mastery and service. We've emphasized that for the greatest attainment and healing, that is making whole in our lives and for that of others, and all beings, it requires a patient application of the laws of life, the Rosicrucian laws and principles. The patient allows us to let ourselves and others learn in our own way, in our own beautiful time. And as we increasingly hearken, or listen to, or attentive to, and identify with the divine within, we have the perspective not of the seeming pressures of the day, but of that maturing viewpoint of eternity. and then we'll act on those actions, and we'll truly come in to what it fully is to be a human being, and fully to be in the rose quartz state in mystical union, and one with the one, identified fully with the divine mind in deification and spiritual marriage. Thank you very much.